The Chicago Bulls get another win over the San Antonio Spurs, another game by playing as a complete team. But are the Bulls' inability to close out games going to come back to bite them in their ass later down the road? We're talking about that, plus the Bulls' pace and how they've been betterly improving, and Zack LaVine. All that plus the mailbag right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go and talk about this game against the San Antonio Spurs. And so the Bulls get a win over the team with a complete team game. And that's the way that we like to see the team play, right? When you look at the balanced attack, the fact that we had 7 players in double figures, the fact that, Ayo Dosunmu stepped up hugely both off the bench and in the starting role coming into the second half due to Kobe White having to get stitches. Now he eventually comes back, but Ayo Dosunmu started off that second half. And Vooch and Ayo really led this team in a lot of ways in this game. When you look at Nikola Vucevic, 24 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks. He was 10 of 7 from the field. Ayo Dosunmu goes 8 of 9 from the field, 3 of 3 from three-point range with 21 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal. And the brand of defense that Ayo Dosunmu has been playing here lately has just been astronomical. It's been great to see Ayo Dosunmu play with the confidence he's been playing with. And like I said over on the post-game show, it was me, C-Dub, Steve-O, and Kev in that post-game show, is that Ayo Dosunmu is turning into one of those players, has become one of those players that always finds a way to impact the game. Sometimes it's going to be scoring. Sometimes it's going to be defense. Sometimes it's going to be a mixture of both. Sometimes it's going to be his passing and how he gets the team out in transition. But I really like the minutes that Ayo Dosunmu gave the Chicago Bulls last night as well. He also had DeMar DeRozan with 20 points. He goes 8 of 19 for 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 20 points overall. Zack LaVine only 3 of 8 with 10 points, but he did other things, 7 assists in that game, 6 rebounds, 1 steal from Zack LaVine. And then Kobe White, 6 of 13, 0 from 3 from three-point range. Not too concerned about that right now, though. 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 15 points. Then the Alex Caruso goes 3 of 5 from the field with 11 points as well. Like I said, overall, this team, they took care of business. They shot the ball 51% from the field and 30 or more assists for the 3rd straight game in a row, right? That's not anything that's easily done or should be overlooked at all. Now, there are some signs for concern with this team and the way that they play kind of down the stretch and not able to close out games. They had a big lead over the San Antonio Spurs initially. They won that first quarter 35-23. They lost the second quarter 28-32. And then 39-31, they lose the third quarter, really allowing the Spurs to make this game interesting down the stretch. And that is something that I really like to see from this team as they go forward, is to find a way to close out these close games. But outside of that, man, really good minutes across the board. Drum also had 10 rebounds, 7 points coming off the bench from Drummond in 17 minutes. So, he's playing more minutes, which was good to see as well. And this was a game against a 7-31 win team, right? And so you want your team to be able to take care of business a little bit better than what we've seen the Bulls be able to take care of. We're going to have more on that here in a second. But, Billy Donovan did talk about the game after this, and he said this.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate we, dug ourselves a hole, those first, 15 to 20, 22 games. I feel like we're getting better. I really do. I think we're playing stylistically, how I'd like to see us play and how I think the game should be played. And we're sharing the ball. It was another a night of 30 assists. We're trying to generate good shots. We're scoring more points. We're doing things. There are times that certainly we can rely on DeMar and Zach and Vooch late game. But I like what we're doing. But, we got a tough game against Cleveland coming up. Our schedule, is challenging. And the schedule to start the year is really challenging. So, I like what we're doing. I think we're getting better. I think we're improving.
And talking about how the team is improving, and they have been, and the stats back that up. When you look at it right now, the Chicago Bulls are on pace to finish the season 41-41. Now, while that does not sound amazing by any stretch of the imagination, when you look at the fact that we started off the season 5-14 with a negative 7.2 point differential, on pace to only win 24 games on the season, we've now turned that around. We've gone 14-8 in the last 22 games with a point differential of 1.6, and that puts us on pace to win. Well, that's a 45-win pace, but that would mean that we are on pace to win 41 games considering how we started off. we have really turned this season around in a lot of ways. And a big part of that, of course, has been Kobe White. You guys know I like to talk about. But the overall team playing more as a team and playing more cohesive as that unit, moving things around. And that's why it becomes a little bit more concerning when we see the heavy isolation ball, things like that. There's a moment in this game in the fourth quarter specifically where the Bulls hadn't scored for almost 4 minutes. And then on that very next possession, which we know it's going to happen, right? You're going to go to DeMar in situations like that when you can't really score the ball well. But we saw DeMar dribble the ball for 16 seconds of the shot clock and ended on a bad mid-range shot that was heavily contested. We have to get away from that. Yes, there are absolutely going to be moments of DeMar DeRozan doing that. He's the best in the league at that. And we are going to need times of him being able to isolate, him being able to either get to the free throw line or make a bucket, but we have to be more consistent in using and varying the attack. Now, again, I'm not holding that one situation just against it. Like I said, Kobe White got an elbow from Jeremy Sohan and sent him to the back. He needed 2 stitches in his lip. So that thing kind of worked itself out. Zach LaVine wasn't really as aggressive last night or shooting the ball a lot. Again, still getting his wind under him. 2 overtime games back to back, and this was the second of a back to back game. So there's those things that make sense in that. This team is playing better. My biggest concern with this team is just you got to finish those games stronger. Now, we did have Alex Caruso talk about the game and how the team is finding ways to win, and he said this.
I don't know what we are in our last 20, 25 games, but I'm sure it's above 500, at least a couple games over. So I'll just keep doing that. I think we got off to a rough start this year. We lost a couple early games, too, that we're winning now. We won this game that was close late, won 2 in overtime lately. We're finding a way to win, in clutch time moments, and we didn't find ways to win, and so we're kind of flipping those games in our favor. Just continuing to be who we are. When we play the way we should, we're a really good team.
And so that just comes down to kind of what I'm saying, what my sticking point is on this. I love that the Bulls are winning. Do not get me wrong. I would much rather them win close games against bad teams than lose them, right? And I don't want to overlook the fact that the Bulls are winning. We went 3-1 over last week. We're 6-4 in our last 10. And I always talk about winning the week, right? That's the most important thing as you're trying to get back to 500. Win the week. That doesn't mean you're going to win every single game. That doesn't mean that you're going to lose a bunch of games. But if you can win the week, if you have 3 games, win 2 of them. If you have 4 games, win 3 of them, right? There are going to be some times where you may only you do lose the week, but win that next week, right? Winning the week is the most important thing as a team that's trying to get back to 500, that it hasn't been there in forever, right? But the thing that causes the most concern for me personally in watching these games is how tight we allow some of these games that just shouldn't be. We had 2 OT wins against Charlotte and Houston, which, again, definitely happy that we won those games, but you're letting the Charlotte Hornets push you to OT. The Houston Rockets, I'll give you a little bit of credit on that. They're the second best defensive team in the league. Their defense and coaching is going to get them in some games, right? Then you look at losing a winnable game to the Golden State Warriors. Now, again, I understand losing that game. You're playing against a team that has absolutely been battle-tested for years, damn near a decade at this point. You also, the fans changed the karma of that game with booing Jerry Krause in front of his spouse, that type of thing. And then we closed out a game against the Spurs. And while I'm happy that we closed the game out against the San Antonio Spurs, we shouldn't have been in that position because this was a game that we should have bodied them. Now, again, you win the game. That's the most important thing. You beat who's in front of you. I don't care if they're injured. I don't care if they're hobbled. I don't give a damn if they got to trot out the freaking Harlem Globetrotters. If that's the team on your schedule, you beat them. I'm always going to appreciate you beating them. But the next step in the evolution of this team is really finding ways to close out these games so that they're not close. So you don't have to expound that huge number of energy just to win the game. So, that's that, and that's going to happen over time, right? You have to first set the foundation of being a winning team, having a winning play style, which the Bulls have been doing, but then you have to start closing out games. And next week is going to be a rough one for the Chicago Bulls, and talk about winning the week. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Toronto Raptors, and the Memphis Grizzlies as our 3 games next week. The Cavs always play us close. I know they got some injuries and things like that. The Toronto Raptors have been playing really well here lately. Also, that's a team also that historically plays us pretty close, even when we do win games. So you want to definitely take a look at that and how they've been playing. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They've lost 3 games in a row. So hopefully, the Bulls are streak busters one way or another, right? But so hopefully we can take care of that business that we have. And then the Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies are the Memphis Grizzlies this season. It's been a tough go for them so far this season, but you don't want to overlook anybody. And Big Kev said a great point on last night's live stream after the game. It was just, this Bulls team is not in a place where they can take anybody lightly. And truer words have not been spoken, right? That is where this team is right now. You cannot overlook anybody on your schedule. You have to dig in, you have to execute, and you have to play almost like every game is the biggest game that you've played this season. We haven't earned that right to overlook anyone. And hopefully the Bulls can start closing out some of these games better. We can start seeing that. Now, before we get into the mailbag, one last topic, and that's Zack LaVine. Everybody's watching Zack LaVine, of course, because of how he fits in, things like that. Zack LaVine's played 5 games now since his return. He's averaged 16.8 points per game, basically 17, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, right under a steal and right under a block per game. He's shooting the ball 49% from the field and 37% from three-point range. And while those numbers all are solid, right, they're not what we're used to seeing from Zack LaVine, especially not the scoring aspect of it. But the thing that is the intangible of it is that he's continuing to fit in. And a lot of people in last night's game said, I wanted to see Zack be more aggressive. He only took 8 shots, right? We want to see Zack take more shots, and that's right. And I'm not denying that point. But I'm saying right now, with Zack LaVine trying to find a way to fit into how this team has changed while he's out, I'd much rather see a Zack LaVine that's getting those number of assists, which I think is now his 3rd game in a row of getting 7 assists or more. I would love to see Zack LaVine keep playing this way more, like I said, more so than him taking a bunch of shots and it disrupting the offense. He's finding a way to fit in, and that is the thing. And like I said on last night's stream as well, we can't critique and complain about Zack LaVine taking too many shots, and then when he comes back and he's trying to fit in, us then complain about saying, hey, I want him to take more shots. Yeah, you want him to be somewhere in the middle, right? But right now, as he's trying to fit in, I feel like he's going the right way about it, right? And you know, whatever that means for the trade deadline or not, we're 3 weeks away from the trade deadline, and I know some people are taking, well, Zack LaVine's locked in now because he wants teams to trade for him. Listen, I look at it and say this is the best way for Zack LaVine to play. Again, of course, shooting the ball more, no matter what is the future of his team, because that is how a team plays as a team and how you can get yours off a little bit better. So, you know, Zack LaVine, since his return, I think has been playing pretty strong, more strong than weak. Yes, he hasn't been scoring at the same level. Yes, he's still getting his conditioning under him. But I really do enjoy how Zack LaVine has embraced fitting in with what this Chicago Bulls team has been doing. And that's the biggest plus coming out of that for me. But all right, let's go ahead and get into the voicemails for today. We got 6 of them, I think. This one's from Mello.
Yo, what up, Haize? This is Mello. Just finished watching the Golden State Bulls game. Good game. I like what I saw in the first half. That third quarter, they just died. But Billy Donovan, I don't understand this dude. I really don't. The dude, Boots was providing nothing on offense or defense, and you were being out-rebounded. Why not put Dre in the game? This dude was a beast while Boots was gone. A beast. And now he's seeing 12, 13 minutes a game. And they're getting killed on the board. I really don't understand this guy, bro. He made no adjustments. That's why in that third quarter, Golden State went crazy. There was no adjustment to it. They were putting him in a pick and roll every single time. I don't understand where the adjustment doesn't just take place to where, okay, when he could easily say, when they're about to do a pick and roll with Boots, let's trap the ball handler. So both guys go. Don't roll. Both guys trap the ball handler. Because Boots sucks on defense. He is horrible. And on offense, he's 5 feet from the basket with a mismatch, and he's throwing the ball out to a 3-point shooter. Turn around and shoot the ball. It's just that simple. It's easy. But then he does not hesitate to shoot a 3. And in the offseason, all he kept saying was he didn't want to be out there shooting 3. But that's the only thing that he will take without hesitation. Everybody keeps talking about trade Zack or trade DeMar before the end of the season or whatever the case may be. But maybe they should be looking into getting rid of Boots. Because right now, Kobe's playing well. Zack's comeback's playing well. DeMar's playing well. He's not. And if he's not providing offense, what is he really providing? That's all, bro.
Billy Donovan not putting the ball in putting Dre in the game, in that Warriors game. And here's what I'll say too. I agree, right? Now, Dre was playing pretty bad too. Dre and Vooch were both playing pretty goddamn bad. Not just rebounding wise, but defensively as well. And I know we look at Drummond, he is a much better defender than Nikola Vucevic, but he does have his games as well whether it's erratic or whatever it is. And yeah, and there's something to be said about it. Maybe if Drum did play more minutes, he could have worked himself into a better rhythm. And I agree with you on that. But I think we also have to look at the fact that Drum just wasn't playing well either in that time period, and it really put the Bulls at a disadvantage because what they combined for 12 rebounds in that game, we need and deserve more from those two players, especially when they're playing a team that I think their tallest player was 6'9". We got to play better in those type of scenarios. And so, yeah, Billy Donovan's situational awareness, which we have some voicemails on here later in the show, is just it's lacking at times, right? And he's a player that, a coach that really relies on his top players. And sometimes you want to see you ride the hot hand and give more players opportunities to grow in those moments for sure. All right, let's get into this next one. This one's from Uncle Mingo.
Hey, what up, nephew? This is Mingo. When I call, man, I don't like to talk about the trades and who should have did what. I leave that to my boy Shay. But just to recap on that Ring of Honor ceremony. Last night, came home, I see Twitter lighting up Chicago, IG lighting up Chicago, talking about how, Chicago is a classist city, act, whatever you want to call it. But last night, Stacey King said something live, right? He said, he was disgusted, this, that, and the other. And I love Stacey, but he was disgusted. And Jerry may have not shot a rebound. He may not have, got a rebound, shot a shot, but he brought a lot to Chicago. Real talk, that's a Michael Jordan quote. So don't quote Mike if you ain't gonna shoot Mike down. Mike got us trained. He got people trained out here. People buying the same shoes, release after release, the same goddamn Jordans. If Mike tell people, subconsciously, however, not to like Jerry, people are gonna not like Jerry because they like Mike. I thought about this last night. The Reinsdorf, they are not Mark Cuban or Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, the Cowboys, big game. People don't want Jerry Jones to sell the team. Chicagoans don't even like the Reinsdorf. So why would you want them to like Jerry? If I was getting ready to walk down the alley and I knew it was a damn good chance I was gonna get my ass whooped walking down that alley, it's a good chance I ain't gonna walk down that alley. The Reinsdorf knew that was going to happen. For years, everybody hated Jerry. You walked that lady out there to get booed. Whether it was right or wrong, you should have took a poll or something. But you knew Chicagoans don't even like Jerry Krause. So why would you walk his wife out there? I know it probably was wrong, bro. But to me, it's bigger issues going on in Chicago, and I know we hear all about basketball. But trust me, I won't even get into that shit, though. But, hey, man, whether it was right or wrong, hey, got the right to feel that way. All right, bro.
And listen, I understand everything, especially with the fact that we got bigger shit going on in Chicago, right? That deserves to be talked about at the national stage. And right now, it's about Jerry Krause, and it's unfortunate. Now, you're 100% right saying impact, the way that Michael Jordan impacts how Jerry Krause is viewed. Absolutely, right? When Michael Jordan speaks, people take that as gospel, right or wrong, right? But I look at it like this. Did they know that Jerry Krause was going to probably get booed? When you look at the 20-year anniversary, probably, right? But I think also you would hope that as a city, well, as a fan base, because I'm not going to blame the city on that because that's not the city of Chicago. But as a fan base, you would hope that they understood the importance of that moment, right? That was to really acknowledge what that team and Jerry Krause, who built those teams, had been able to bring to the city. That same pride that we look at as being Bulls fans, Jerry Krause was instrumental in that. So I get what you're saying 100% on it as far as like the MJ and the Reinsdorfs knowing and things like that, because your facts on that. It's just, I think it's kind of disappointing because you would hope that people understood what that moment was really about. Let's get into this next voicemail. This one's from Corn.
Hey, what's up, Haize, man? Let me just go ahead, man. I'm gonna apologize to the fans, but I'm not trying to come to you leave this message with you. I'm leaving this message for all them punk ass motherfucking bitches that was in that stand today. Every single one of y'all is disgusting, pitiful son of a bitches. Y'all pieces of fucking shit. That's exactly what the fuck you are. Pieces of fucking shit. When I sat there and saw that woman tear up, I'm overthinking. You know what I thought when I saw that woman start crying? All the time he missed with her. All the time he missed with his family to make sure that we get 6 fucking championships. But you ungrateful son of a bitches. You ungrateful motherfuckers for to sit up there and do that shit. See, y'all don't represent us. See, you don't represent me, Haize, and the real Wolves, man. Y'all don't represent us. Y'all don't represent the nation. Y'all don't represent the city of Chicago. Y'all make the city of Chicago right there look like pieces of shit, and they not. Y'all made it look just bad. It made us look bad. And I'm not from Chicago, but I love Chicago. I love the Chicago Bulls. I'm a Bulls fan for life. And like I said, that man gave me a great childhood. He gave me 6 championships, okay, with the best team ever, 72-10. And this is the fucking thanks he gets. Y'all boo his wife on the day of his honor that we should be honoring him. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it. My nephew looked at me as I'm sitting here watching the game. He said, why is they booing that lady? I said, because of her husband. Like, where, what? I said, her husband passed away. This is, my nephew don't even know what the fuck going on. He said, that's sad. That's sad. A little 10-year-old kid to act more civilized than you punk motherfuckers. Like I said, I'm sorry, Haize. I wanted to talk about the game and all that shit, but that shit there, man, it just got my motherfucking blood boiling to motherfucking 10. The blood, sweat, and tears that man put into this motherfucking team, the time that he lost with his wife and his family to make sure that we had 6 motherfucking championships, and this is the fucking thanks. Y'all, man, I'm sorry, Haize. You ain't got to play this motherfucking message, man, because I know I'm probably doing too much, but I'm sorry, man. And the rest of y'all motherfuckers that was in that stadium, disgusting bitches.
And kind of taking the opposite view of Mingo, right? No, not really opposite. I don't think Mingo's at any point condoning the booing because he's not doing that. But like, I'll say this. Jerry Krause once said that he didn't care about how he was personally viewed. He could be viewed as the villain. He cared about winning championships. And I think the fact that he said that is kind of what his legacy is. He is viewed as a villain. And it's unfortunate because, like I said, the thing that we have so much pride in this logo right here of being the Chicago Bulls was Jerry Krause was instrumental in building that. He was instrumental in crafting that. You and Phil Jackson said it, right? I think it was Phil, maybe it was Michael. You can't tell the story of the NBA without mentioning Jerry Krause. You just can't. Jerry Krause was instrumental in building those teams, and yeah, he broke it apart. He was over it. He wanted Phil to be gone. All those things are still true. But again, when you're acknowledging somebody's accomplishments, we can't just focus on the negative. And Jerry Krause, like I said, I think that the pendulum has swung so much on people just looking at what Jerry Krause did that we didn't like, that we forget that some of the best memories that we have as Bulls fans, Jerry Krause went hand in hand with that. That's my opinion, though. All right, let's get into this next one. This one's from Michael Korn.
Hey, good day, Haize. Michael Korn here. Hey, thank you for eloquently speaking about the booing twits in attendance yesterday at the game. You speak for me, and I'm sure certainly tens of thousands of Bulls fans, and saying what you did about them. I want to especially say that you were spot on in your concluding point about karma. I could tell that was going to happen with the Bulls yesterday after, seeing that. But soulless people, unfortunately, but that doesn't represent the great amount of support and love the Bulls have, and, Bulls fans have for their team and what they have done. But anyway, speaking of basketball, though, the actual playing, what was concerning to me, what you brought up in the pod this morning is Billy Donovan reverting back to what we saw earlier in the year. And yeah, that's concerning. And I think the canary in the coal mine, if you will, is Patrick Williams. I don't see him as being like either passive or aggressive. It seemed to me that he doesn't know what his role is right now. I can understand a fair bit of adjustment, but I think Billy Donovan's rotations, it just doesn't seem like Patrick Williams knows what his role on the team is. And we saw that stunted development of Kobe White for a couple of years as well, I believe. And it was, I think, I'm glad Zack is playing some defense. But I'll tell you, whether this is Billy Donovan's coaching or just the Bulls' lack of IQ when it comes to defending the pick and roll, their switching is killing them. Vooch, man, he sucks on defense. I'm sorry. He's not a rim protector. The Bulls need rim protection. That much is clear. And his 3-point shooting is like 0 for 5 a game. And when he does make one, it's hard to watch for me, to be honest, with him taking threes and playing. But anyway, maybe it's Billy Donovan who should have tried to, either coach differently, maybe just put in some kind of a zone, or surely they have to see what was killing them on every play. Anyway, thanks for a great show. And again, thanks for representing my view. And I'm sure just about every Bulls fan and, the respect for.
The karma of Bulls fans booing. It's real. Karma is real. Karma comes at you fast, man. But, we talked about a lot about the Jerry Krause thing. But as far as your Billy Donovan reverting to coach in coaching and rotations, that's a concern here, right? Because it's when you see this team play as a team, and that's really what helps this team win the amount of games that they have been in the renewed style of play and things like that. And yes, it's still Billy's system. You want to see Billy kind of reward the hot hand more, right, and be more aware of what he has going on. And so hopefully we see that from Billy, and he recognizes that as time goes on. Let's hope at least, right? Now, as far as P. Will not knowing his role, I agree and disagree at the same time. Great point, Michael Corner. I'm not saying you're off with that point, but here's what I'll say. What if your role is just to play with energy and that type of thing? Like, that's something that we don't, and it could be the ankle, right? It could be the ankle. But when we saw Patrick Williams playing his best over that 12 to 15 game stretch, it wasn't like his role really changed. He was still getting 10 shots a game. I don't think they were really going to him. The thing that we saw from him is he was more decisive. He was taking shots quicker. He was taking players off the dribble with those same opportunities that he got, and that he was going after loose balls and things. Whoa. That he was going after rebounds and things like that and getting put back. So I think that that's something sustainable in any role. And at the bare minimum, I think we need to see Pat do that consistently, right? And play that brand of defense that Pat can do. But, not having a clear indicative role, it does affect players, right? And so I do think if there was a pecking order and Pat was higher in that pecking order of getting we know you're for sure getting these 10, 11 shots every game, then maybe he would be able to kind of unlock that and be a little bit more consistent in that. Great point from Michael Korn there. Let's get into this next one. This one's from T'Challa.
Yeah, this is T'Challa, the Savior, calling in. And I would just like to clarify that I was talking about past seasons when I was talking about what Zack LaVine did to the 76ers and what our team do to the Pacers and, what Nikola Vucevic do to them and stuff like that. That's where I was coming from. So as far as matchups and things like that, yes, we got their number. I done seen what we done did to Boston over time. And I look at the different matchups and stuff like that. And then I was factoring in injuries because that's a big part of the game. You can only play who's in front of you. So with that said, all I'm talking about is that we match up with a lot of teams that's in our way in the East. As long as we keep this system, the principles, pace, and all that stuff going and stay disciplined, yes, we will have a major chance. But I don't see no more than a second round exit this year because of the coach. I completely agree with you that, okay, Billy Donovan is a good he's an okay coach, actually. We need a good to great coach. And that's the problem. When you look at Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat culture, when you look at this talent that we have live action and on paper, our three core outshadow Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo put together. But the thing is, they damn near bringing people in from the streets. They have good player development. They have a good fucking coach, a good culture. And you see where they keep going all the way to the fucking Eastern Conference Finals and the fucking finals. The whole thing is, it's the coaching. We have the talent. We have we have a decent system, or it's a good system. Actually, the thing is, we don't have the right fucking coach because we have a lot of talent to match up with a lot of fucking teams. And I was so proud of what the Bulls did last night, but we just was missing that defensive element in that third quarter or whatever. So the whole thing is, it is a fucking coach. That's the biggest fucking thing, and it really pisses me off because we have the talent to do it. And by this point, we should be already been touched the fucking Eastern Conference Finals or Finals because of the talent and because of the shown performances of what we have. But we don't have nobody to coach the right shit because he's not a championship coach. Our max potential with this team is second round exit. Period. Because of the fucking coach. We get a good coach and we hit Pop or Eric Spoelstra, that's what we would be.
All right, so, okay. T'Challa, I agree. I've never agreed with you more, and then I felt like it started breaking apart towards the end there because you say things like, well, we have a good system, yeah, we have a good system. Billy Donovan's the one who built that system, right? And it works for the players now. Now it seemed breaking apart, and that's not Billy Donovan. Absolutely is a okay. Like you said, okay, I'll still say he's a good, not great head coach, right? And just because of that, just because you're a good head coach, don't mean you're good for every situation. But then to say that this team should have been in the ECF by now, we don't have the talent for that. Look at the defensive liabilities that we have on this team. Look, and players who just haven't been used to the moments. Like, I get it, and I get what you're saying in that this team can definitely make some noise. But to say that we should have been in the ECF by now, have you seen the way that this team played in certain games and in close games? So I get what you're getting at, and I agree with more. I agree with about 90% of what you said, but I just think that, yes, coaching is a big part of it. And if we had a better coach, yeah, but there's a reason why the air exposures are rare. If we keep going and saying, well, if we had an air exposure, we would be here. Yeah, probably. But that's why those coaches are very rare cases in the NBA, right? That's why the Spoelstras, the Pops, the Phils, the Pat Rileys when he was coaching, right? The Ime Udokas, right? Those guys are rare across the NBA because for a reason, right? You don't get those guys often. We got one in Phil. We had one in Tips to a degree as well, right? We're probably not going to get one for another decade. That's just kind of the ebbs and flows of it. Like, yes, if we had one, would we be much further along? Yeah, because of the way they develop. And it sucks, but even whenever we do move on from Billy Donovan, the chances that we have a guy that's going to eventually get to that is slim to none. Now, it can happen, and hopefully it does happen for us, because when you have a coach like that, man, does it just make everything easier, right? All right, let's get into the last voicemail for today. This one's from Colin.
Hey, Haize. Colin, listen, man, I don't know if I'm pissed because the weather, snowing outside, it's cold, it's frustrating, and after this Golden State loss, I am beyond fried. I don't think I've ever been as mad at a loss this season or last season than this Golden State one. This one really hurt, and it really put me in a bad mood just thinking obviously everything was fucking Jerry Krause and his wife horrible. It's disgusting what happened, and it sucks for me to say that we almost deserved to lose that game because of that. But I just think that we got Billy Donovan not being a situational coach, and I think that is one of the main problems. Listen, there's no excuse for a team to let the Golden State Warriors shit on us like that. You can't blame it all on Billy. You can't. What you can blame on Billy is the fact that he is not a situational coach. I know you talked about it in the post game, but you can't give DeMar those. I understand giving DeMar the last second shot because he's been there before. But if you're a situational coach and you know Kobe White is hot, feed him the ball. Give him the ball. How is he going to get better if you're not giving him the ball? And that's the main thing. I'm sitting here watching Kobe White in the fourth quarter shooting 3 shots. That makes no sense. You're a situational coach. You look at the recent games. You look at Kobe White's shots, and you can see that he's made more shots than DeMar DeRozan. I get it, other than the fact I know Debo scored 39. Shout out to Debo. I'm not shitting on him. I am not a fan of the people saying to trade DeRozan. I don't agree. But if you're a situational coach and we go back to the game before Golden State and you're given, I could be mistaken, but the game before Golden State is when they let DeMar DeRozan shoot the final shot in the fourth quarter that would have got them ahead and won the game, and instead they went to overtime. But it's just Billy Donovan being a situational coach is my problem. I'm sorry I'm kind of going all over the place because I'm fucking pissed. And I like it. Again, like I said, is it the snow? Is it the cold in Chicago? I don't know. But I love the team right now, the way that we look at most of the time, like that first half against Golden State, I was happy. Moving the ball, shooting the ball. You know, like, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the team moving and playing with energy, being happy. You know, everyone's laughing, smiling. But when you get to the bottom of it, it's just, fuck, man. I couldn't even.
And Colin left 2 voicemails, and he kind of clarified, but I wanted to play this one because, yeah, while it's a little rambly, it's passion in it. And I agree with that. And I think when it comes down to it, yeah, it's great to have a team that's fun to watch. And Billy Donovan does need better situational awareness. And that's a great way to word it. The situational awareness that Billy Donovan lacks at times is one of the things that hurts this team the most because he just goes to what has been tried and true to a degree. But when something becomes so tried and true, other teams pick up on it, right? And you have to be able to vary that at times to be able to get other wrinkles. Everybody knows when the Bulls go on a scoring drought, DeMar DeRozan is going to get the ball. He's going to dribble the air out of it. He's going to have 15 pump fakes. And he's probably still going to either get to the free throw line or score the bucket on you. But the fact of the matter is everybody knows that's coming now, right? And we have to find a way to differentiate that so that we can start adding more wrinkles to that. And hopefully that's something that we do. But great voicemail from Colin. Like I said, I played this one a little rambly, but I got to love the passion in it, man. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.